always, we'll look at one additional cost of owning
Preston
a
B.
car.
for the main office. Preston B. for main office.
So we can all rhyme off the ones that are top of mind in terms of car ownership. I'm going to show you another one, and it hurts big time. Canadians are addicted to spend, 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 and they love doing it on credit. They're addicted to their HELOCs, their home equity line of credits. Again, this is just like a credit card, but it's got a huge balance, like 40, 50, 60,000, and we're addicted to it. You're going to see some examples of what people put on it and how scary it is. We're talking a little bit about robo-advisors. Robo-advisors are definitely a product that the fintech industry has created to appeal to millennials. And their hesitancy to go into a bank and perhaps get fleeced by a bank, and boy, the banks don't work for me. Remember, the banks work for themselves. And so would robo-advisors be something for you to consider going forward, starting up your investing? Absolutely.
Mr. Woodcroft.
And I'll give you an example of just one
Mr.
Canadian
Woodcroft, 701.
robo-advisor and why that would be a good idea. Another option to robo-advisors, we know Tangerine, I talk about that a lot with you. I love Tangerine because you hide the money, it's away from you. Another option is to go with the banks. So many members sometimes say to me, okay, I want to do this, how do I do this? A great option would be to look at the index mutual funds that banks have. So these are mutual funds, but they're index mutual funds, which means their MERs, their management expense ratios, are a lot cheaper. And so over the long term, we know the story about index funds. They outperform actively managed 80% of the time. So your bank has ETFs, they just don't market them because they don't make as much money from them. They're better for you than the other mutual fund offerings at the bank, though. We know that. Last, we've got a sector that has shifted and is now red hot. Energy is on fire. Oil prices have rallied. This is typical at the end of a growth cycle. The economy's booming. The economy's great. The States' unemployment's really low. Unemployment in Canada's really low. Jobs are being created. Companies are burning through materials. They're using more oil, and they're using more minerals and wood to build stuff and grow. And so all of that has kind of got the commodities on fire. So we'll have a peek at energy. All right, start us off. So we can all rhyme off the costs of owning a car. Clearly, you have to buy the car, you have to maintain the car, you have to insure the car, you have to put gas in the car. And if you live in Toronto, you got to park the car also. We know that's a big cost. Usually in KW, I don't know about you, but I don't really like to pay for parking. I drive around to find out a way that I don't have to pay. This is the headline in yesterday's paper. Look at this, $28,000 for real estate. I'm like, oh my gosh, what can I buy? Is something on sale? Can I buy some sort of a little townhouse for $28,000? No! It's for a parking spot. They are selling parking spots for $28,000 at these downtown condos. Cheapest piece of property listed for sale in the region right now, $28,000 Kaufman Flats in downtown Kitchener. Don't get too excited. It's not for a condo, it's for a parking spot. So typically what happens is you get one parking spot for a condo. If you want an extra one, you'll pay for it. One parking spot. If you want an extra, that's the market. Definitely not common, said Toby Howell, sales rep with Royal LePage Woolley Realty, who's handling listing. I've only seen a handful of spaces ever advertised. Not unheard of. Another downtown condo in Kitchener, parking spot sale, $25,000. Underground spot in Hamilton listed for $26,000. A steal compared to what you pay in Toronto. Asking price there, $50,000. So just a heads up, I know there's lots of reasons to get a car. Both my millennial kids have cars. Just be aware that there's costs with them everywhere. Next, we are addicted, unfortunately, to our lines of credit. So this article talks about, hey, we should quit lines of credit cold turkey. You know what that means, just stop. But we're also going to get some insights into what people are putting on their lines of credit and how sobering this is. HELOCs, home equity line of credit, great tool for savvy borrowers. They can also delude people into living beyond their means. You know, you get a credit card, you're like, hey, this is great. I can put it on the card today. I don't have to pay to tomorrow. Think of the brick advertising. You know, buy now, pay in 2019. That's the way they, unfortunately, suck in lots of consumers to overspend. So let's have a look at this. Okay, HELOCs. Great contribution to vertical finance has been for us to disconnect from all reality, and we're not living within our means. If you can't afford what you need or want, a HELOC solves the problem by allowing you to borrow cheaply against your home equity. HELOCs are a saving borrower's best friend, a savvy borrower's best friend. They also delude people into thinking they have access to all this money, which they don't. Financial planner Sheila Walkington says she has had to stabilize clients who rely on HELOCs by then getting them to stop spending more than they're bringing in. Like, isn't that goal number one of Phoenix Finance? Save. you've got to save, right? You've got to earn, you've got to save, and then you can invest. But like today, people earn and blow way more than they have. All right, let's look at some of these stories. They're scary. My goal is to get them out of debt in 5 years. Any longer than that, it's just depressing. And they have to start saving for retirement. Home equity credit lines have been around since the 70s. Took until the 90s for them to take off. Better Dwelling website reports that the total value of personal debt secured by homes is $250 billion. That's $250 billion. That's in Canada. It's up 7%. We're gorging on it. Growing sense of concern because interest rates are rising in two ways. The bank has increased borrowing costs 3 times since last summer. Also, as noted in a column last week, at least one bank has moved rates higher on its own for some customers who have a line of credit. Walkington, co-founder of Money Coaches Canada, holds a certified financial planner designation. She and a couple of her coaches recently looked at their clients' use of HELOCs. Look what they found. 41% had an outstanding balance. Small number were using them for investment purposes, which is fine. Borrowing to invest is a good strategy. But the majority were supplementing their income. In other words, I can't make ends meet. That's what that phrase means. I'm spending more than I'm bringing in. I'm doing this every month. How do I finance that? I borrow. Which means groceries. Your groceries are sitting on your HELOC. How scary is that? Examples of stuff people put on their HELOC. Cost of having kids' hockey expenses, trips, furniture, home maintenance. First step in helping overspending clients is to wean them off their HELOC by helping them live on their income alone.
Ms. Decker, call 5601. Ms. Decker, 5601.
So today in my Period 1 accounting class, we heard a story about a 70-year-old financial planner pulling in $325,000 a year in salary with a mortgage, 70-year-old, with a mortgage still of over $200,000 on the house, plus assorted lines of credit for another couple $100,000, and wait for it, a bill to CRA. They're the tax folks for over $200,000. Now just let that sink in for a moment. You've got someone working at 70, which is scary enough, making over $300,000, still with all kinds of debt like that. So like, what hope do we have if a financial planner in the industry, can't even control his spending? So just, we gorge on spending, and unfortunately we're on credit. All right, so those 3 big pieces. We're going to earn, we're going to save, we're going to invest. So I want to talk a little bit about robo-advisors. Robo-advisors are a cool way of you investing in index funds and getting started. Score 1 for the humans in the battle between robo and traditional advisors. Robo-advisors are still a financial industry newcomer. They've been around long enough now to start losing clients who are unhappy. So why? This is important to understand. This financial planner recently took on someone who moved some money from a full-service brokerage to a robo firm and then was disappointed not to get financial planning. So here's the deal. Robo-advisors are do-it-yourself investing. You're not going to phone in and get someone to hold your hand. Someone might call in and explain to you the difference between some of the funds you're owning, but you've got to have a base level of financial literacy. And I would say every one of you now have a base level of financial literacy that you could understand what you're investing in. Robo-advisors for a long-term goal, like saving for retirement, are ideal for you because they're so cheap and you have a long-term perspective. I called up one Canadian robo-advisor. I just want to share it with you. It's Wealthsimple. So I've drilled down a little bit just to save some time. But here's their website, Wealthsimple. And if I can have a look here, I just want to look at, so they create portfolios for you. They spread your investments around into ETFs, but they do it in a cheap way. And here's a good example. So I'm going to go growth because that would be our perspective. So let's see what you would get if you got one of these. You just go to these robo-advisors. You can contribute $100 every paycheck every 2 weeks, and this is what they put you in. It's ideal. It's one-stop shopping. It's much like those balance funds we saw at
Mr.
Tangerine.
Harriet to the main office.
Very simple.
Mr. Harriet, main
And you're not
office.
going to get advice. These are hands-off. That's why people go to robo-advisors and say, oh, I don't get any advice, and leave. Okay, but for us who are a little more literate, it's a good choice. Okay, what's here? So we got Canada still 22. That was my pet peeve, too much Canada. US at 32. We've got emerging markets at 10-4 in stock. So if I look at equity, 15 and 25 and 50-ish, and it's 80% equity, which again, we know the rule. 100% minus your age should be about what you're in equities for a long-term goal, right? For something beyond 5-10 years. In other words, saving for retirement. So you guys just use 20 as an age to keep it simple. You should have about 80% of your equities, 80% of your investable assets in equity for your retirement. Bingo. So you can open up a tax-free savings account with these guys. Off you go. They offer other portfolio bonds go up and the equity drop. Not a surprise, right? We're at less equity. And if I go all the way down to their most conservative portfolio, it's actually called conservative, you can see bonds go up and the equities become very big. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you a little peek at what one of those looks like. The fees are very, very reasonable. Might be a good choice for you going forward. Again, some members say to me, Mr. Masters, this is great. How do I actually do this? This is how you would do it. You'd wait to be 18. You'd open up an account at Wealthsimple, tax-free savings account, off you go. All right? Another option. All of you have bank accounts with the big banks. So let's go have a peek at where we would find the index funds. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is they aren't easy to find. And they aren't easy to find because the banks don't make much money from them. The fees are very, very low. Right? So they're going to roll out their bigger, higher costing mutual funds. That's where they make the profit. The ETFs are here, you just have to hunt for them. So here's TDs. Let's go hunting for TDs. So I'll back right out here. Again, I drilled down a little bit. So here I'm going to come right into the website here. So here we are, grow my money. So I'm going to invest. What am I saving for? I want mutual funds. They're actually called mutual funds. They're called funds, index funds. So look at me drilling down here. So TD mutual funds, TD Comfort portfolios, E-Series, bingo, this is it. TD E-Series, low MER is 0.33. Let's have a look at details. Look how far I have to drill down. What do they offer? And here they are. So we can buy European index, international index. Here's the NASDAQ. Here's the US index. Let's look at the US index. Cost for the US index, pretty cheap, 0.35. Okay, so they are there. You could create a portfolio of index mutual funds through your bank. Again, these would allow you to invest $100 every 2 weeks. So you wouldn't have to worry about getting a brokerage account and doing the buy and sell and buying 100 units. Doesn't work that way at all, right? They are mutual funds in a sense. They're just index mutual funds. All right, so you've now got 3 solid ways to actually use index products in an investing portfolio once you turn 18. We can go to Tangerine. Talk about it all the time. We can do a robo-advisor, Canadian robo-advisor. Again, there's no virtual bank. It is virtual. You don't go into a bank and visit a manager or a financial advisor. It's all online. Or 3, you can go through whatever bank you deal with. Every one of them have these index mutual funds. They don't advertise them because they'd rather sell you more expensive stuff. But there's 3 ways to do it. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you understand there's ways to get that. Next, energy. Wow, we have got an inflection point with energy big time. So let's look at the complex. So we know that we've got an ETF in this sector. So here's the iShares.
Mr. Buchholz, call 5621. Mr. Buchholz, 5621.
Capped energy index. And if I look at the chart, we got an inflection point. And it's pretty strong, actually. So this is 1 year. This is a 1 year. Look at that. There we go. So we would call that an inflection point for sure. I don't think that's a falling knife. That's a strong inflection point. The economy is picking up. We're getting definitely some rising commodity prices. Oil is now rallying over $70 a barrel. What does that mean? We can certainly play an ETF. Okay, this is an ETF for the whole sector. Ticker on that is XEG. If I go to Yahoo Finance, I type in XEG, there it is. We're rallying hard. I can also lay over that one of the big Canadian oil companies. So I'm going to add Suncor in here. Sometimes you can take one of the bellwethers within a sector if you don't just want the ETF. And you can see Suncor is up nicely, although a year. So we've got Suncor up 15% over the year, and we've got XEG, the index product, up 20%. Again, what would be the advantage of playing XEG as opposed to Suncor? When you deal with Suncor, you've got company-specific risks, right? All your eggs in one basket. If they have some sort of a pipeline rupture, you're going to take a hit. As soon as you take the sector, you mitigate that risk away. It disappears. Now you don't have company-specific risk anymore, you get exposure to the sector. All right, so energy may be something you want to latch onto right now, because energy's on fire. That's it. Have a good week. Thanks.